Hey, it is Thursday, so we have 2 days left of distance learning, virtual school, whatever you want to call it, for this week. And my question for today is, it's Thirsty Thursday. So I want to know what it is you are thirsty to learn more about. If you think about in our book, Annie is thirsty to learn about poetry. She loves poetry. Mrs. G is thirsty for books. I love to read. So what is it that you are thirsty for? Is it space facts? Is it about bugs? Is it sports? Is it video games? Is it, what is it that you are just crazy about? What is it that you love to do or love to learn about? So, Thirsty Thursday, what is it that you are thirsty to learn more about? Email, dojo, Facebook, however you want to send it to me. Okay, so now let's get back to the $1 Million Shot. And we read chapters 7 and 8 yesterday. 7 is pretty long. It was really long, actually. 8 was only 2 pages. So we learned that Mr. Iannucci, the PE teacher, is letting Eddie use the gym to practice. And it's really making Ty and Johnny mad that Eddie is getting to do the foul shooting and get to try to win this $1 million. And I think it bothers them even more that Annie is still hanging out with them, or hanging out with Eddie and me. And especially now that she's going to the gym and doing the basketball stuff with him. So he is goofing off on his very first practice session that Annie's there, and she's like, you've got to get serious. Like, you are not going to make this shot because you stink right now. Just to be honest, you stink. And so she gets mad and she goes home. And later on, after dinner, and he's helping his mom clean up the kitchen, and Annie's dad comes over and he brings Eddie a new ball, and it's a very expensive, very nice ball. And he tells him, he's like, you can have this ball under one circumstance or one condition. I get to coach you. I get to tell you what all to do and how to do it and teach you how to shoot a proper free throw. And he does that. And now at the very end of it, he was shooting 90% or better. He was shooting 9 out of 10 or 90 out of 100 shots correctly and making it through the net, which is better than most professional players. So word is starting to get around town that he's doing really good, and people from town are starting to show up to watch him practice at the gym. And when we left off yesterday at the very end of chapter 8, his mom is standing next to him as he's shooting these free throws in the gym, and he says, Mom, who is that guy up there in the bleachers? And when he turns and points to him, and Mom looks, and it's a man sitting at the top of the bleachers by himself with a camcorder, and he's recording him. And when they notice him, he gets up and he runs off. That seems a little sketchy, does it not? If somebody was recording Grayson and Jake's, guarantee you crazy mama would be coming out, and you are not videoing my babies. So I can only imagine how Eddie's mama felt. Okay, so anywho, we are going to start with chapter 9, and we'll see how far we get, because 9's long, but it's not as long as chapter 7 was. So we probably will get a couple more chapters in today. Okay, so chapter 9 is called A Strange Visitor. Congratulations, Eddie. How about a Finkel? When the famous George Finkel showed up at the door that Saturday morning, it was the biggest news to hit the trailer park in years. A real millionaire coming to call on me. A bunch of people from the neighborhood trailers gathered round, craning their necks to see what George Finkel looked like in person. He was a big man. Well, enormous is more like it. George Finkel was short, but he must have weighed 300 pounds or more. I wondered how many Finkels he had eaten in his lifetime. He actually looked like a giant Finkel. The picture on the box makes it look like he's got a full head of hair, but in person, he's almost bald. He's got a few stringy hairs, which he sweeps across his head. But it's trying to cover up a basketball court with a bunch of t-shirts. He pulled a Finkel out of his jacket pocket. It wasn't wrapped in cellophane like the ones you buy in the box, and he must have lined his pocket with plastic or something so the grease and the Finkel goop wouldn't get all over his clothes. And it occurred to me that this guy must carry pockets full of Finkels wherever he goes. No, thank you, Mr. Finkel. I had I haven't even eaten my breakfast yet, and the thought of eating a Finkel at 8 o'clock in the morning made my stomach feel kind of funny. Oh, come on, Eddie, don't be a Fink, have a Finkel. No, really, I'm full. I just ate breakfast, I lied. A Finkel Jr. then? Mom stepped between me and Mr. Finkel, her arms crossed in front of her. He said he doesn't want it, Mom informed Finkel. Ah, you must be Eddie's mother, Finkel said cheerfully, stuffing the Finkel in his mouth and grabbing Mom's hand to shake it. You're just as beautiful as Eddie is handsome. As Mom reluctantly shook Finkel's hand, he leaned closer to her and said softly, I understand you used to work for my company, Mrs. Ball. I just want to tell you I'm sorry I had to terminate so many employees recently. Business is business, Mom said grimly. You got to do what you got to do. That's right, Finkel said, brightening again. And if your boy Eddie here sinks that foul shot, maybe he'll use that $1 million to set up a business of your own. If Eddie wins, Mom said seriously, he'll put some money away for college. The rest will be his money to do what he wishes. Mr. Finkel had come with a whole bunch of people, a camera crew, reporters, even some bodyguards. I guess millions of people love George Finkel, but lots of others hate him, especially people he had just fired. I heard some hissing and hooting from the crowd outside the trailer, and as the cameras clicked away, Mr. Finkel presented me with a sweatshirt from the word Finkel in huge letters on it. Save it for the NBA Finals, he advised. You don't want to get it finkled. I mean wrinkled. He let out a big laugh. I let out a little one to be polite, and Mom just grunted. When the photographers were finished, Mr. Finkel pulled me aside and asked me if we could have a few words in private. I looked to Mom and she said it was okay. Mr. Finkel wrapped an arm around me and guided me down the dirt path away from the people surrounding our trailer. I wanted to wish you good luck, Eddie, he said, but I don't think you'll need it. I hear you're a very good shooter. Not bad, I said. It occurred to me that the guy who'd been camcording me in the practice was probably one of Finkel's flunkies. George Finkel was spying on me to see if I'm any good. You're too modest, too, Finkel continued. I like that. Tell me, Eddie, did you ever play ball with a lot of people watching? No. The TV people tell me there may be as many as 50 million viewers watching at home when you take your shot, he said. Does that make you feel a little nervous, Eddie? A little, I guess. Well, I want you to know that if you miss that shot, I won't let you go empty-handed. Hit or miss, I'm going to give you a lifetime supply of Finkels. Gee, thanks, Mr. Finkel. It occurred to me that if I ate too many Finkels in my lifetime, my lifetime wouldn't last very long. Eddie, can you keep a secret? He asked seriously. Well, sure. Will you promise me that what we're about to discuss will stay between you and me? Sure, Mr. Finkel. Eddie, the Food and Drug Administration has been conducting tests on Finkels. They fed Finkels to a bunch of laboratory rats, and some of them apparently got cancer. Oh, gee, that's terrible, I said. Yeah, it is. The FDA might force me to take out some of the chemicals I put in Finkels that make them taste so good. When this report is released to the public next month, it will be very bad for my company. Not to mention all the people and rats who might get sick or die from eating Finkels, I added. Of course, he said dismissively, them too. You know, Eddie, $1 million is a lot of money, even to a man like me. I got in a little over my head with this contest, I admit. If I have to give you $1 million, it will put me in an even deeper financial hole. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? No, I answered honestly. Let me put it to you this way, Eddie. There's a little something that you can do for me, and a big something I want to do for you and your mom. What do you want to do for me? Well, I want to give your mom her job back with a nice raise, too. Well, great, I said. What do you want me to do for you? Eddie, he said, looking me in the eyes, I want you to miss the shot. Miss it? I said, flabbergasted. I stopped walking. You mean you want me to miss it on purpose? Bounce it off the rim, throw an air ball. It doesn't matter as long as that ball doesn't end up in the basket. I'll give your mom her job back because she did it so well. That really floored me. I wanted Mom to have her job back, of course, but missing the shot on purpose, it didn't feel right. It seemed un-American or something. I asked Mr. Finkel if I could think it over, and he said that would be fine. He gave me a card with his private phone number on it. He said to call as soon as I made up my mind. Remember, Eddie, Finkel said as we headed back to the trailer, what we discussed is just between the two of us, right? Right. Finkel and his entourage packed up their gear and left quickly, followed by some people calling out rude comments to him. And when all the gawkers were gone, Mom asked me what Finkel had said to me in private. I simply told her that Finkel had wished me good luck. Good luck, Mom snorted. That's the last thing he wants you to have. As I lay in bed that night, I thought it over. If I missed that shot on purpose, I wouldn't have $1 million, but my mom would get her job back and we'd be back to normal. Then I thought it over some more. If I missed that shot on purpose for the rest of my life, I would be thinking that I gave up the chance to make an easy $1 million. And then I thought it over some more. If I made the shot, I'd get $1 million and Finkel Foods would probably go out of business. Mom wouldn't get her job back, of course, but if we had $1 million, she wouldn't need her job back. And who knows how many people I might save by driving Finkel out of business and getting Finkel's off the market. I thought it over even more. If I tried to make the shot and missed it, all I would get was a bunch of stupid Finkels to remind me of it and for the rest of my life. And I couldn't even eat them, knowing they're filled with dangerous chemicals. This was very puzzling. I couldn't sleep. I got out of bed and I went to look for Mom. She was reading the help wanted ads on a lawn chair in front of the trailer. "Are you okay, Eddie?" she asked as I sat on her lap. "I can't sleep." "You've been quiet as a mouse all day," she said. "Something must be on your mind." I had promised Mr. Finkel I wouldn't mention our conversation to anybody, but it didn't feel right keeping something this important from my mom. I needed advice. My mom was my mom, and George Finkel was just a stranger. I decided to break the promise and tell Mom about Finkel's offer to give her job back if I missed the shot. It may have been puzzling to me, but it only took Mom about a second to make up her mind. "Finkel must be pretty scared of you," Mom said softly. "I'm not going to tell you what to do, Eddie, but I know what I would do if I were in your position." "What, Mom?" "Go for the shot." Chapter 10, A Show of Appreciation. "Have you thought about our little chat, Eddie?" Finkel asked as soon as he recognized my voice on the phone. "Yes, I've decided. Well, before you make your decision, there was one more thing I wanted to throw at you, Eddie. Your mother said she was saving money to send you to college when you're older." "Yeah. Well, if you miss that shot on purpose, Eddie, I will pay all your expenses to put you through the college of your choice. What do you think of that?" Well, I didn't know what to think. He was trying to make me an offer I couldn't refuse, but maybe if I held out a while longer, he would throw in some cash too. One thing was sure, Finkel really didn't want me to make that shot. "Eddie, are you still there on the line?" "Well, this is a bribe, isn't it?" I finally said. "You're trying to bribe me to miss the shot so you won't have to pay me $1 million. "Well, bribe is such an ugly word, Eddie. I'm simply offering you a college scholarship to show my appreciation. It's the least I can do after firing your mother." "Mr. Finkel," I said, trying my best to sound assertive, "I decided that I'm going to try to make the shot." There was silence. "Mr. Finkel, are you still on the line?" "Okay, that's your decision," he said icily. "Good luck. You're going to need it." Mr. Finkel," I said, "one more thing. If I try to make that shot and miss it, does my mom still get her job back?" He slammed down the phone without answering. It seemed pretty clear that Finkel's offer was off the table now. Mom wouldn't get her job back no matter what I did. I would either win $1 million or I'd get nothing. Chapter 11, The Mystery Friend. As soon as I turned down George Finkel's offer, strange things started happening. The phone rang one morning while Mom was on a job interview, and I picked it up. "You're gonna miss, loser," an eerie voice said. "Who is this?" I demanded, but the caller hung up. Early one morning, Annie knocked on the door and told me she wanted to show me something. She led me to a big patch of grass on a hill at the front of the trailer park. Somebody had taken a lawnmower and moored the words, "Choke Artist Lives Here," into the grass. The next day, when Annie and I went out to our old backboard to shoot a few foul shots, we saw from a distance that somebody had spray painted graffiti on the backboard, and when we got closer, we could see the words, "Airball," only E''ER like in the poem. That kind of shook me, but I decided to stick around and shoot some foul shots anyway. I missed my first 5 in a row. That was unusual. I had practiced so much in the past month I could practically sink foul shots in my sleep, but I just didn't seem to have the touch. I tried some more, but I kept missing just about every shot. I had no idea what was wrong. Finally, Annie shimmied up the pole to check the backboard. She was up there a few minutes before she realized what the problem was. "Hey," she called down, "somebody raise the rim." Sure enough, there were 2 lines on the pole where the backboard used to be bolted. The entire board had been raised a few inches. Somebody had gone through a lot of trouble to throw off my aim a little bit. While all this was happening, every couple of days, a strange letter would arrive in the mail. There was never a return address. This is what one of them said. "Dear Mr. spelled Misster, Eddie Ball, make no mistake. You're going to miss. I'm going to miss you after you miss. Will you miss me? Your mystery friend." Something told me that George Finkel's fat finger was involved in all of these pranks. He was the one who could benefit the most if I missed the shot. And when I turned down his bribe, he sounded like he was going to get me. "I ought to report Finkel to the FBI or to the NBA or somebody," I told Annie after showing her the letter. "I have a better idea," Annie said. "Keep your mouth shut. If word gets out that Finkel is trying to tamper with his own contest, the whole thing might be called off. And that's exactly what he wants." But I want to make him pay for this, I said, ripping up the letter. You want to make him pay? Annie asked. Make the shot. She was right, of course. The more Finkel bothered me, I realized the more determined I would become. Naturally, I wanted to sink the shot to get the $1 million, but I also wanted to sink the shot to drive George Finkel out of business. One more strange thing happened in the middle of all of this. I was practicing with Annie and her dad at the gym one afternoon, and the school band was rehearsing in there too. It was hard to concentrate with all the noise. I was missing more shots than I usually do, and Mr. Stokely pulled me aside. Do you know what an Achilles heel is, Eddie? Some kind of shoe, I guessed. Annie thought that was funny, but her dad hushed her. An Achilles heel is a weakness, and you've got one. I knew very well what my weakness was. Distraction, I said. That's right, Mr. Stokely agreed. When it's just me and you in this gym, I've seen you hit 90, sometimes 95% of your shots. But as soon as there's some kind of noise or a little commotion, you start to miss. It doesn't matter how good of a shooter you are if you can't do it with pressure on. And Madison Square Garden is going to be rocking when you step up to that foul line. It's going to make this place sound like a tomb. I know. So what are you going to do about it? Concentrate harder, I said. No, Mr. Stokely corrected. Concentrate less. Remember the abbreviation for mountain? MT. Right. Empty your brain. Clean it out. Think of nothing. Now go back and try a few more. I stepped at the foul line and made a real effort to empty my brain. Just as I was about to release the first shot, Annie leaped in front of me and screamed, "Aye!" My shot missed. I set up to shoot another one, and Mr. Stokely blew his whistle behind my head, and I was about to shoot. The ball bounced off the rim. You're going to have a lot more work to do on this, Mr. Stokely said. At that moment, another noisy distraction caught my attention. At the far end of the gym, a guy fell off the bleachers. He hit the hardwood pretty hard, and a camcorder slipped from his hand. He looked like the guy I'd spotted with the camcorder earlier, but I couldn't tell for sure. The guy struggled to his feet and quickly hobbled out of the gym without saying a word to anyone. Now I was sure Finkel was spying on me. Chapter 12. Fame, Fortune, and Finkel. As the NBA Finals got closer, reporters from all over started calling. Are you nervous? They all wanted to know. What will you do with $1 million? What do you eat for breakfast? And other silly stuff. It was kind of cool in the beginning, being famous and all that, but after a while it got to be a drag. I'd be rushing out to practice and some guy would stick a microphone in my face and start asking questions. Reporters started following Mom around and even into the bathroom in a store, and she lost her patience. I tried to be as polite as I could. A week before the NBA Finals, this article appeared in USA Today. Shot of a lifetime. Jackson, Louisiana. How would you like to earn $1 million for 1 second of work? A Louisiana boy will have that opportunity on Saturday night. 11-year-old Eddie Ball won a poetry contest sponsored by Finkel Foods. Eddie will go to the charity stripe during halftime of Game 1 at the NBA Finals. He will have one shot. If he makes it, the youngster will go home with a check for $1 million. Home for the boy is on 4 wheels. Eddie lives in a trailer park with his mother, Rebecca Ball, an unemployed machine operator. Mrs. Ball, ironically, is a former employee of Finkel Foods. She was laid off recently. How delicious it would be for young Eddie to become a millionaire at the expense of the company that fired his mother. Eddie's gonna make it, his mother told USA Today. You can take it to the bank. Eddie will have some help taking it to the bank. In his left pocket, he carries a Susan B. Anthony silver dollar. He says it was given to him by his father, who passed away 2 years ago after contracting cancer. Good luck charm or not, the word on the street is that this kid is shooting 500 foul shots a day and making 9 out of every 10. That would place him among the top free throw shooters in the NBA this season. The question is, can he hit one out of one with the whole world watching him on Saturday? By Rob Gleason, USA Today. Chapter 13. What if I miss? The Los Angeles Lakers and the New York Knicks each had a great season and rolled over their opponents in the playoffs. The two teams were scheduled to meet in the NBA Finals, which would start in Madison Square Gardens. In the days leading up to the finals, I noticed that kids at school were acting different around me. I wasn't used to so much attention. Everybody knew my name. One day I arrived at school and there was a big banner up over the front of the building. Sink it, Eddie. Some kids asked me for autographs. I didn't want to turn anybody down and act like a jerk, but I didn't want to pretend to be a celebrity and act like a jerk either. After PE one day, I was alone in the locker room when Ty and Johnny walked up to me. I was afraid they were going to beat me up or worse. Instead, Ty stuck out his hand for me to shake. I want to apologize, he said. Well, what for? We were the ones who spray painted the backboard. Johnny admitted. And we mowed the grass too, Ty said. I looked at Ty and then at Johnny. Neither of them would meet my eye. You wrote the letters too? I asked. Yeah, Ty said, so soft I could barely hear. Which one of you came up with that brilliant idea? A guy paid us, Johnny said, pulling a $10 bill from his jean. What guy? I asked. Finkel? No, not Finkel, said Johnny. I forgot the guy's name. Try to remember, I pleaded. It was one of those names that's spelled the same way forward and backward, Ty recalled. You know, like a palindrome. I think I said that wrong. Otto, I exclaimed. Yeah, that's it. He's Finkel's flunky, I told them. We're sorry, Eddie, Johnny said. I guess we were just, jealous that you won the contest. So why are you telling me now? I asked. 'Cause Finkel fired a dozen more people, Ty said, including our dads, added Johnny. We want you to nail him. Nail him, I asked. What can I do? Sink the shot, man, Ty said. That's all. Sink the shot. I'm going to try. One more thing, Eddie, Johnny said, holding out the $10 bill. You should have it. Keep the money, I said. I'm going to make Finkel pay me too. According to the rules of the contest, Finkel Foods had to pay to send the winner and his family to New York. I invited Annie and her dad to join Mom and me. We had become almost like a big family since the contest began. I was nervous about the trip to New York. I had never been on a plane or visited a big city, and at my last practice before the trip, I only sank 71 out of the 100 free throws. Good, but not great. School let out for summer on June 10th. We were scheduled to fly out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana on the 12th, spend the next day in New York, and game 1 would be on Saturday night, the 14th. When I went to sleep that night before the trip, Mom came over to my bed to tuck me in. She and I had talked a lot about the $1 million shot, but we hadn't talked at all about what would happen afterward. Mom, I said, if I make the shot, we're going to move out of here? Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're going to get a mansion somewhere with a limo and a pool and helicopters and stuff. We don't need those things, Eddie. I'm going to get it for you anyway, I sighed. It's going to be great. Sleep now, she whispered, kissing my forehead, and dream of good things. Mom, I asked, as she was getting up to leave, what if I miss? You won't, she said, stroking my head. But what if I do? I asked. Are you going to be mad at me? Mad? She looked surprised. How can I be mad at you for missing a foul shot? She ran her fingers through my hair the way she used to when I was little. The only thing that makes me mad and sad, she said, is that your father won't be there to see you make the shot. He would have been so proud of you. Memories of my dad were starting to slip away from me. It was getting harder to remember what he looked like, but I'll always remember the first time he took me out to shoot hoops. I must have been 5 or 6. The ball felt like a boulder to me then. I kept shooting it with all my might and barely getting it up over my own head. Each time, Dad caught the ball in the air, flipped it up into the basket, and told me I'd gotten it in by myself. Nothing but net, he would shout loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. Nothing but net, Eddie, Mom whispered, flipping off the light. Nothing but net, Mom. And that's where we'll stop for today. So send me your Thirsty Thursday answers, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.